A deadly shooting just steps away from the newest Marathon Burger location, the chain founded by Nipsey Hussle. The family of the late rapper is speaking out tonight.
3 men were shot and taken to a local hospital where one victim later died. The other 2 remain in stable condition. Police say this is still under investigation with no suspects in custody.
One person is dead. Several civilians were shot, and the individuals involved reportedly came specifically looking for Blacc Sam at what was meant to be a family gathering. This was not just another shooting. It marked the second time violence broke out at a Marathon Burger location, and what actually happened raised serious concerns. Blacc Sam was continuing his brother's legacy, trying to build something constructive for the community. However, Long Beach gang politics introduced a different reality. The Marathon Burger grand opening did more than turn chaotic. It highlighted how deep local street dynamics run and why opening businesses in certain neighborhoods can come with serious risks. To understand how a family celebration turned into a crime scene, we need to go back to the beginning. Let's revisit when Nip first developed the idea for Marathon Burger. This business was never just about food. It represented economic empowerment, giving the community something productive and meaningful that symbolized growth. Nip consistently spoke about ownership, about creating businesses that would hire people locally and keep money circulating within the neighborhood instead of flowing to corporations disconnected from the community. After Nip's passing, Blacc Sam took responsibility for continuing that mission. The first Marathon Burger location in Los Angeles became a success story. The Crenshaw side attracted large crowds, created jobs, and demonstrated that positive business ventures could succeed in areas many outsiders had dismissed. People supported it not only for the food, but for what Nip stood for. They wanted to participate in something greater than just another restaurant. The Los Angeles opening faced challenges, but the community supported it. Celebrities showed public backing. Local families made it a regular stop. Young people found employment opportunities. It served as evidence that Nip's vision was practical, that economic growth was achievable, even in neighborhoods often overlooked by traditional investors.
However, complications arise when operating in certain areas, especially with high public visibility. Business owners are not only dealing with customers, but also navigating local politics, territorial conflicts, and individuals who may view success as either a threat or an opportunity. In many underserved communities, visible success can attract unwanted attention. Blacc Sam decided to expand into Long Beach, and that is where the situation became more complex. Long Beach has its own gang structure, history, and long-standing territorial disputes. Bringing a high-profile business into that environment automatically places you within those dynamics. A business owner can quickly become a symbol, and sometimes a target. It is important to note that this was not the first issue connected to a Marathon Burger location. Tensions had already surfaced, and earlier incidents suggested that these businesses were attracting both strong community support and negative attention. Still, Blacc Sam remained committed to serving the communities his brother cared about, fully aware of potential risks. The expansion into Long Beach was carefully considered. The goal was to broaden the economic impact and demonstrate that the Marathon brand could thrive beyond one neighborhood. But expansion also introduced new territorial tensions and exposure to groups who may not have respected the mission behind the business. Concerns began before the doors officially opened. Long Beach contains established gang territories that have existed for decades. The 80s are known as one of the more active sets in that area, with ongoing conflicts involving multiple groups. These are not minor disagreements, they are long-standing rivalries where perceived disrespect can result in retaliation. When a grand opening includes celebrities, business leaders, and community members gathered in one place, it can attract individuals seeking visibility or confrontation. High-profile events can become opportunities for people attempting to make statements or settle disputes. According to multiple witnesses, a young individual affiliated with the 80s arrived alone at the grand opening. That behavior is considered unusual in areas with active rivalries. Reports state that he began openly disrespecting rival groups during the event, which included well-known figures such as Snoop Dogg and YG.
He allegedly displayed gang signs and made provocative remarks in a setting intended to promote unity and progress. Witnesses indicated that the behavior was not subtle. The individual reportedly referenced specific rivals and acted confrontationally in front of numerous opposing affiliates present at the event. The conduct created tension that could not simply be ignored. At that point, several individuals from rival groups approached Blacc Sam. According to accounts, they expressed that the situation needed to be addressed before it escalated. They reportedly showed respect for the event and for Nip's family, but made it clear that the continued provocation could not go unanswered. Sources described the discussion as respectful but urgent. The individuals explained who the person was and the potential consequences of allowing the situation to continue. They reportedly warned that if the matter was not handled internally, it could lead to violence. As these conversations were taking place, 3 additional members affiliated with the 80s arrived. Now there were 4 individuals from that group present, surrounded by a large number of rivals at a family event focused on business and community development. The newly arrived individuals may not have fully understood the earlier confrontation. From their perspective, they saw their associate in a tense environment, surrounded by rivals, and may have assumed hostility. The message to Blacc Sam remained direct. The individual causing issues needed to leave. Blacc Sam faced a difficult position. He wanted to preserve the peaceful nature of the event while acknowledging the seriousness of the tension.
He ultimately agreed to assist in escorting the 4 80s affiliates away from the property safely. This decision appears to have been an attempt to prevent violence while ensuring no one was harmed on site. That day was intended to highlight positive change in Long Beach. The grand opening included celebrities, local officials, families, and children. It reflected the vision Nip had described when speaking about economic empowerment and quality businesses serving underserved areas. Children were receiving food. Community leaders were discussing growth and opportunity. The focus was meant to be progress and unity. However, when Blacc Sam and others began escorting the 4 individuals away from the premises, they did not realize they were walking into a situation that would soon escalate. One that would later be captured on cameras and live broadcasts. According to eyewitnesses at the scene, Blacc Sam made his position clear from the start. He approached members of the 480s respectfully and said, "We appreciate y'all coming and supporting what we're building here, but the politics is active right now. Y'all have to leave. We'll escort you out safely. Where did you park? We'll make sure you get to your cars without any issues." The 80s members agreed because they trusted Blacc Sam to make sure they reached their vehicles safely. They believed they were being given secure passage off the property. What they didn't realize was that Blacc Sam had no intention of involving himself in Long Beach gang politics beyond removing them from Marathon Burger property. His responsibility was to his business, his family, and his brother's legacy, not to manage ongoing street conflicts. So they walked with Blacc Sam and several of his team members, assuming they were under protection as they headed toward the parking area. The distance from the restaurant entrance to the edge of the property wasn't far, but it was enough time for tensions to rise, for opponents to position themselves, and for the situation to become more dangerous.
When they reached the edge of Marathon Burger's property, Blacc Sam stopped. He told the 80s members, "This is as far as we can go. We're not getting involved in Long Beach politics. You're on your own from here." That was him drawing a line. He ensured they left his property safely, but he wasn't going to escort them through hostile territory or take part in street matters unrelated to his business. As soon as Blacc Sam and his crew stepped back, the opposition moved in. Witnesses describe roughly 4 individuals facing nearly 100 people. It was not an equal confrontation. They were overwhelmed and attacked from multiple directions. Those waiting had reportedly anticipated this moment and were prepared to respond to what they viewed as disrespect inside the restaurant. Then, the young 80s member who had been speaking aggressively earlier, the one who sparked the initial tension, pulled out a gun and began firing in an attempt to defend his group. At that point, the situation escalated from a physical altercation to a life-threatening event. Once firearms are introduced into a crowd of that size, everyone nearby becomes at risk. One recurring issue in these situations is the assumption that only one side is armed. The belief that pulling a weapon will end the problem often leads to greater consequences. In environments like this, multiple individuals may be carrying firearms. Once shots are fired, the scene turns into chaos. When the 80s member began shooting, others returned fire. Now, multiple people were discharging weapons in different directions. Civilians ran for cover, families ducked behind vehicles. What had minutes earlier been a community celebration quickly became a scene of confusion and danger. Footage from that day shows the aftermath. Blacc Sam can be seen seeking cover with someone who had been shot in the leg. Barry Gordon from No Jumper told officers, "I think I got shot," as he tried to process what had just occurred. Civilians hid behind cars, people shouted for assistance. Blood marked the ground where children had been playing moments before. Two opposing members were struck during the exchange, but survived with non-life-threatening injuries. They were transported to the hospital and later recovered. The young 80s member who initiated the confrontation, however, died at the scene. His death was captured during a live stream. Comments continued appearing on screen, "Keep gifting," and "Thank you for the donations," while he was fighting for his life. One of the most troubling aspects of the footage is hearing the streamer encourage viewers to continue sending gifts while a young man lay bleeding. It reflects how exposure to violence online can reduce sensitivity and turn tragedy into content. The shooting occurred close enough to the Marathon Burger entrance that much of the crowd remained within range. Several civilians were injured, people who had come to support a positive local business, families who believed they were attending a safe event, individuals with no connection to street disputes who were caught in the crossfire. The investigation that followed revealed how complicated the incident truly was and highlighted larger concerns about safety and economic development in certain communities. Long Beach police responded quickly with multiple units. Paramedics treated the injured, and News Chopper 4 captured aerial footage of the aftermath. Police tape stretched across parking lots. Multiple scenes were processed. Ambulances transported victims to nearby hospitals. Because the shooting occurred in a crowded setting, officers had to interview hundreds of witnesses, gather evidence from several locations, and reconstruct the timeline to determine responsibility. Many witnesses were hesitant to cooperate, fearing possible repercussions for speaking with law enforcement. In the immediate aftermath, celebrities, business figures, and community leaders who attended were visibly shaken. Snoop Dogg, present to honor Nipsey's legacy, experienced gunfire at what was intended to celebrate progress. Big Boy, known for highlighting local businesses on his radio platform, witnessed firsthand the risks that discourage investment in certain neighborhoods. YG, familiar with similar communities, saw how quickly efforts toward improvement can be disrupted by street conflicts. Sources close to the investigation indicated that several high-profile attendees left, stating they would be unlikely to return for future events in similar areas. That outcome carries lasting consequences. The incident did not only result in injuries and loss of life, it also reduced confidence in investing in communities that urgently need economic growth and positive development. The broader impact extended beyond public figures. Local families who attended with their children were traumatized. Community leaders who promoted the restaurant opening as a sign of change were forced to explain why an event meant to highlight progress ended in violence. The situation reinforced existing negative perceptions and made it more difficult for future entrepreneurs to gain support for businesses in comparable neighborhoods. On the streets, however, the consequences were only beginning. The 80s lost one of their young members. In gang culture, that often signals retaliation. The rivals involved in the first altercation now have targets on them. The cycle of violence that Nipsey consistently spoke against was repeating itself at an event meant to celebrate his legacy and promote positive change. The death of that young 80s member was not only the loss of one life, it marked the beginning of possible retaliation that could take more lives and further destabilize the community. Gang violence rarely ends with a single event. It creates ongoing cycles that can continue for years, impacting families and neighborhoods long after the first conflict. At the same time, Blacc Sam found himself in a difficult situation. He handled things appropriately. He attempted to calm tensions peacefully. He offered safe escort away from the premises. He avoided involvement in gang politics unrelated to his business. Yet because the shooting occurred near his event at a location connected to his name, he is now part of the narrative, whether he intended to be or not.
A day meant for celebration turned into chaos. Gunfire broke out at a crowded block party. The legal investigation remains active, but street retaliation often moves faster than the court system. Law enforcement sources report that clear video footage exists and potential suspects have been identified. However, securing cooperation from witnesses and building strong prosecutable cases in gang-related incidents remains difficult. This Marathon Burger shooting permanently shifted the conversation around community investment. What happened in Long Beach was not simply another gang conflict. It directly challenged the possibility of positive development in certain neighborhoods and sent a message that could affect economic growth for years. Blacc Sam's response will influence how Nipsey's legacy continues. He now faces critical decisions: whether to keep building in communities facing safety challenges, whether to relocate future businesses to areas where families can feel secure, or whether to remain committed to the original vision, understanding that meaningful change often carries risk. The hip-hop community also learned an important lesson that extends beyond one restaurant opening. Financial resources, celebrity support, and good intentions are not always enough. If a culture of violence outweighs a culture of progress, even positive efforts can end in tragedy. The presence of successful artists such as Snoop Dogg, Big Boy, and YG did not prevent violence. In fact, their attendance may have increased visibility, potentially making the event more attractive to individuals seeking attention or settling disputes. This situation also revealed the limits of celebrity involvement in community projects. While well-known supporters can bring attention and funding, they can also draw negative focus from those who view high-profile gatherings as opportunities for disruption, or who resent others' success. At present, the Marathon Burger location in Long Beach remains closed as investigations continue. The family is evaluating whether reopening is safe. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles location continues operating, serving the community and representing the economic empowerment Nipsey believed in. However, a broader concern remains: how many incidents can occur before that vision becomes unsustainable? The economic impact goes beyond one business. Entrepreneurs who are considering investments in similar neighborhoods are reconsidering. Business owners inspired by Nipsey's example are weighing the risks more carefully. The shooting affected not just one family or enterprise. It may have damaged future economic opportunities in communities that urgently need legitimate businesses and employment options. This situation highlights a difficult reality. Communities cannot fully benefit from investment if internal issues remain unresolved. When gang influence outweighs business leadership, when territorial disputes take priority over economic growth, and when violence becomes the first response instead of the last, progress becomes unlikely. The individuals who suffer most are families seeking stability, those who want safe places to shop, dine, and work. They become affected by the actions of a small group, losing opportunities because safety cannot be guaranteed for customers and employees. Blacc Sam intended to honor his brother's memory, create opportunity, and provide jobs in Long Beach. Yet, the same communities that call for investment can make that investment difficult when instability persists. The young 80s member who lost his life that day did not only lose his own future, his death contributed to the loss of a business that could have provided employment, served families, and symbolized positive change. The tragedy extends beyond one shooting, one death, or one temporary closure. It sends a message to every entrepreneur considering investing in high-risk communities. When violence becomes predictable, when safety cannot be assured, and when gang politics interfere with development, communities risk being left behind. The wider implications for hip-hop culture are also significant. Nipsey's vision of economic empowerment through community ownership encouraged many artists and entrepreneurs to reinvest in their neighborhoods. Incidents like this may cause some to view that vision as risky or unrealistic, discouraging similar efforts. Blacc Sam's response will be closely observed by those who believe in Nipsey's mission. Will he relocate operations to safer areas? Will he withdraw from high-risk neighborhoods? Or will he continue building, possibly increasing security measures that alter the nature of community engagement? The outcome may determine whether Nipsey's legacy of economic empowerment continues or becomes another example of how violence disrupts progress. Ultimately, until communities collectively prioritize development over conflict, businesses over disputes, and ensure that family-centered events remain safe spaces, similar situations may continue. The families who attended that event simply wanted to support a positive effort. They brought their children to celebrate a new business and believed in change. They are the ones who lose access to quality services, employment opportunities, and hope for stable growth when violence intervenes. This incident will likely be remembered not only as another shooting, but as an example of how communities can unintentionally undermine their own progress, and how efforts toward positive change can be threatened by actions that harm the very neighborhoods they occur in.